Hi everyone. This video introduces ImageJ as a way to collect data from images. So ImageJ is a program that's available through the National Institutes of Health, was developed there, and then there's another version called Fiji, which is this odd recursive name. Fiji is just ImageJ. So you can find ImageJ at either of these locations, download it, and then you can use it for your own. You can use it for all sorts of purposes. It doesn't cost anything, which is really, really nice because it's a really useful program that you can use in a lot of scientific endeavors. So I hope that as you follow through this video, you'll see a little bit of how flexible it is. It can do so much more than what you're going to see. In any case, either of these links that you see up here will take you to a download page, and it's fairly simple. Follow the instructions. Make sure you check the instructions. There are versions that you don't have to install, so if you're using a computer that's not yours, that maybe belongs to an institution, you can just download the files and run it too. But you'll need to make sure that you've got the right version. Anyway, it's fairly easy to set up. It's available for Windows, Mac, and Linux. So there are lots of ways to get at that. So let's switch over and have a look at what ImageJ is and how it works. So I'm going to assume that you're able to go ahead and pull up pictures on your own. It's fairly easy. You go to File, and then you go to Open, and you just follow the dialog windows like you would in a lot of programs. What I've got for you already here is a slice of a tree. It has an individual tag number, and it has a size reference. One of the really important things you need to think about if you're going to do research images is that you're going to want to make sure that your measurement and whatever you're measuring are in the same plane. So if that ruler were down at the base of that slice of the tree, at the base of that tree cookie, it might, and probably would, wind up taking up a different amount of pixels per measurement. So these are in centimeters, and the very first thing that you need to do is you need to be able to tell ImageJ how much real world space is in a pixel. So let's start by going up to Analyze, and we're going to go to Set Scale. So the first thing we can do is set distance in pixels. So we're going to use our drawing tool. Whoops. Let's do that first. And you can zoom in and out using plus and minus keys. Or if you have a mouse with a scroll wheel, you can press Control and roll in and out. Either way, let's get down really close to that, and then let's make a line. And we want to follow that fairly precisely. We want to have the same angle so that it's as accurate as we can be. Alright, so we can zoom back out if you want. You can still see that little yellow line. And then we're going to set the scale. So it's measured a number of pixels, and now we want to know what the known distance is, and that's 1. We're going to assume for right now that you don't have to set the pixel aspect ratio, but that can be useful if you've got an image that height and width are not exactly the same, and that can happen in a lot of unexpected ways. So make sure that you check your real world settings versus your measured settings to make sure if you're using this on your own. And then it's really useful to tell ImageJ the unit of length. I haven't seen it affect anything in the measurements, but it can be really nice to just have that ready to output so that you know how you measured it. So we're just going to label that centimeters. Alright, so now we've set the scale for that image. So let's zoom out a little bit, and one of the things that I really like is that there's something called a region of interest manager. And that basically will allow you to keep track of all of your measurements. You can bypass that and directly measure something. So let's do that first. And let me quickly show you a couple of ways to measure things. So I've just used the length tool, so that measures a line. And so we could measure the width of this tree cookie, for example. Or you could make an oval, and then you can adjust that using each one of these handles. And you can get a pretty good measurement here. They can be fairly accurate and precise, as long as you work with them. So that may be useful if you're measuring area. If you wanted a little bit better measurement, you could actually go through and you could trace a line. And I'm doing this by just holding down and dragging my mouse. You could do a polygon selection where you're actually choosing each one of those handle points, and then you're tracing around like that. And so in this case, I'm clicking each time. So that gives me some freedom that I wouldn't have otherwise. All right, but we're going to start working with the line tool. All right, so that's what you saw the first time when I set the scale. And if we wanted to just measure this, we could do Control or Command M, and we would get a measurement. And this has already taken care of moving this into centimeters. So it's about 10.3 centimeters wide. Cool. That's useful. I'm not going to save that because I want you to see the region of interest manager too. And that's really nice because you can see all of your measurements. So both measure and the region of interest are also available by clicking through this. So you can click Analyze, go down to Measure, and that'll give you the measurements I just showed you. Or we can go to Analyze, go to Tools, and we can go to the Region of Interest Manager right here. And you'll likely have to resize this. And one of the greatest things in this tool is that you can click Show All, which means that you'll be able to see each measurement that you take. So let's get started. We've got a measurement, and you can click on Add, or you can use Command or Control T. So you notice that I had Show All a minute ago, and so you'll be able to see all of your measurements. If you just do measurements by themselves, you're not able to see all of those at once. So I can use the keyboard shortcut. We can do a couple other measurements. And if you were doing this for a specific purpose, you might want to exclude the bark, or you might want to measure rings. I'm going to take one more through here. We'll include the bark on this one. And we've lost the bark on the other side. That's okay. Alright, so in this case, now you can just go to Measure, and you've got all of those measurements. You can get angles, but what we're really after are the lengths here. So this particular cross-section is around 10 centimeters in diameter, and you could save these. You can export them. Or you can copy and paste. So you can edit and copy, and then you can put those into your favorite spreadsheet program. And then you can work with them there. So there are a lot of really nice tools. You can use both the measure and the region of interest manager in the same ways, and you can use those with all of these tools, right? You can use a rectangle, you can use the oval, You can use a polygon selection or that freehand selection, that bean tool. And the big difference between the polygon and the bean is how you input the data, right? How you follow along the lines. And so those are all great tools. It gives you a simple way to manage and measure things. So I hope that was a nice, easy introduction for you. And thank you for watching. Have a great day.